Hello my friends, welcome to this new class. We are going to just practice some asana exercises preparation and not only. So I hope you have done already the exercise with the ball and the inclined plane and we can start. So we are going to start in Tadasana. We are going to start in the mountain pose. You put your feet next to each other, same level. Try to create parallel lines with the edges of your feet and the axis of your body. Try to keep all the weight on your heels and try to connect the crown of the head with the heels. And you just stay there. Try to feel how is your breathing. Try to feel how your body is activating from the center of your heels, in the center of your legs, towards your hips, towards your thighs, and higher towards the pelvis, the bases of your back, the sacral bone. Try to feel how this fact of putting the weight in your heels can bring an internal activation of all the body that tries to bring the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And feel how is your breathing. Compare both sides, left heel, right heel. Do they have the same surface of contact with the mat? Do they have the same pressure with the mat? Feel all the details. Inner side of the heel, outer side of the heel, back side of the heel, front side of the heel, center of the heel. Feel how this activation, this conscious activation, activates your legs at the same time. Especially the back of your legs, but also the front of the legs. Feel how this way of reacting to gravity keeps us staying erect, simply staying erect on our feet. And as well, feel the difference that this action can bring in the sensations we have in the inner side of the foot, in the outer side of the foot, in the calves, in the knees, in the hips. And just stay present. Attentive to all sensations you find in the body. And we are just going to make a triple flexion, so we are going towards posture of the chair, Utkatasana, triple flexion, which means flexion of the ankles, of the ankle joint, knees and hips. So this as well, hips. We often forget hips and we are like this. This isn't it. Triple flexion. The pelvis stays the same posture as when we are just standing. Utkatasana is a great posture for you to activate your legs. Try to bring all the weight on your heels. You can cross your fingers and put the palms down in the back of the body to work a little bit the internal rotation in the arms. Try to find balance between the left and the right side. Trying to find balance between the front and the back of the body. Is your back still long? And is your breathing still complete? Or is it difficult? If it is difficult, it means we are not in a balance and we have to try to search for it. So bring really all the weight on your heels and try to create space between the heels and the crown of your head. And stay in this triple flexion. Are both legs reacting the same? Are both heels carrying your weight, or is it more on the left or more in the right side? Is the back of your legs working to keep you there, or is it mostly the front of your legs? Try to feel the difference between being on the front of the foot and too much on the back. And try to find balance and feel how your legs are working to keep you there. But as well, feel that this is not a concern for your organs, for your lungs, for your heart. And then you can just come up in a triple extension. Feel what has happened in your body. You can let your hands both sides. Feel the differences between the right and the left side. How are your heels creating more and more connection with the floor? How are your knees trying to extend more and more? And how your hips try to find more and more space. And compare both sides. And try to be present in the rest of the feelings. Is it emotional, mental condition, or physical? And then we are going we are going to need the chair to go towards a front bend. It is going to be half of Uttanasana. It's just bending forward only in the axis of your hips, keeping the back long, and you only stay here using a chair, or maybe even if you are really stiff in your hips, you can just stop there. So this is going to be half of Uttanasana. Uttanasana, which is the posture where we are really bent forward and we try to bring the head on the knees, but we are not interested in this for the moment. We are only trying to find more length in the back of the legs. So we are going to use a chair and to stop not very low, maximum in 90 degrees between the legs and the trunk. And we are going to stop there. So being in front of the chair, the only thing we need to do is bring flexion in the hip joint. It's like I want to push the mat towards the front in my heels, but with my heels, but the mat is not going to move. It's my pelvis that is going to go backwards, and I will just put my hands on the chair to stop me from going further. Compare both legs as we did in Tadasana. Try to create space between your the crown of your head and your sit bones or the tailbone. Create really all this connection between your tailbone and the crown of your head. Don't let your back collapse. And as well, don't let your pelvis be attracted by your legs, but keep the pelvis in connection with your back. If you don't have enough length in your legs, just bend a lot less. It's not necessary to bend too much. It's the same work when we are here and when we are here. So we don't need to do more than that. And just stay there. You can use your chair to help you. Feel length both sides. Feel the connection between both heels and the connection between the heel and the sitting bone. And you stay there. Try to create space between the crown of your head and your tailbone. If you forget, for example, it's like this, but it's interesting to create more space in the neck. And you stay there. compare both heels, compare both knees, both hips, the calves, the back of your thighs, the front of your thighs, the inner side and the outer side, and create balance for the extension of every one. And then we are just going to come back up only by an extension in the hips. Next thing, create space between two legs and keep all the weight on your heels. Already push the big fingers, the big toes on the floor to activate the inner part of your thighs. And stay there. Try to create a connection between your heels and the floor. Push your heels on the floor to unbend your knees, but not to block your knees. Be careful not to block your knees. And slowly you are going to be able to create more length in the hips as well. So the hips, in the beginning, they are going to stay a little bit towards the back. With time, you are going to be able to create more space in the hip without letting it turn towards the outer part, towards the exterior. So you are going to stay there, but create space in the same time. Keep all your weight in the heels. Be careful just to create a balance between both heels, not to be more towards the right or more towards the left. And then we are just going to create the same thing, triple flexion in the ankles, in the knees, and in the hip joints. Push the big toes on the floor and just create this balance between both legs. And just let your weight bring you lower if possible. Always keeping the weight on your heels. We are going to create a little bit of exercise for the muscles in the upper arm. We are going to put the big finger in the edge of the elbow, both sides, and we want to create space between the elbows, but the big fingers don't let us. So this creates an exercise for the neck and the arms. And the rotator cuff. In fact, it's all the deltoids here that equilibrate themselves. And just try to create space between the crown of your head and the sit bones or the tailbone. Stay on your heels, push the big toes on the floor. Feel if you are using your upper body muscles to breathe, or the belly muscles. Try to elongate your exhale by using the belly muscles, the transverse abdominal. And you stay there with the triple flexion. Weight on your heels, big toes that push the floor. And you stay there present in the actions. Continue to create space between your two arms and push the crown of your head towards the ceiling. Decontract your pelvis, decontract your anal zone as well. And we are going to start pushing ourselves towards the left, for example. So it's the right heel that creates more energy to push us towards the left. The left leg resists, but less than before. And you stay there present. And you are going just to try to stay in your heels. Don't forget the big toe that pushes the floor. Stay present in the sensations. Feel what's happening in the inner side of your left leg, in the inner side of your right leg, for instance. The pelvis is only staying horizontal and facing front. Try to feel what's happening in all the pelvic zone, pelvic muscles, the front of the pelvic muscles, the back of the perineum. Are they balanced? Or is it more the back, or is it more the front of the perineum that's reacting in this exercise? If it's only the front, try to bring your pelvis slightly towards the front and stay on your heels. If it's more the back, try to bring your pelvis a little bit towards the back and stay on your heels. And stay there present in the actions of pushing the big toes towards the floor. Staying on your heels, pushing the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And then you are going to push yourself with your left leg towards the right side. This time it's the left leg that wins, has more energy than the right leg. The right leg resists. And you bring yourself slightly towards the right. There is more weight on the right heel now. Create space between your elbows as well. Push your big toes on the floor. Feel what's happening in the inner side of your legs. And stay present in the sensations. Try to release tensions in your pelvic zone. Try to release tensions as well in the upper part of your body. Stay present in the sensations. Stay present in your heels, in your ankles and your knees. Compare the inner side and the outer side of the heels. Compare the inner side and the outer side of the ankles. Compare the inner side and the outer side of the knees. And feel that if there is imbalance, there's energy that is going somewhere else and not where it's supposed to go. Stay very, very connected to the earth with your heels. Feel what's happening in your neck. And then you can come towards the center once more in a triple extension. And you can bring your feet next to each other and feel the differences with this exercise. Feel what has happened in your legs. If you have any differences in the left and in the right side. And we are going towards Parsvotanasana, which is an asana that helps us stretch the back of the legs, but also stabilize the lower back, and as well work the internal rotation of the arms by being in Namastasana in the back of your back. So Namastasana is same thing we do, the prayer, but it is going to be in the back. And we have two ways to do it. It can be just like this, with a rotation of the forearms that brings us in Namastasana. And in the same time it can be like this, and as well it's in a rotation of the forearms and brings us in Namastasana. A rotation of the forearm is only the fact of rotating the radial bone in the axis of the ulnar bone. It's only this, the rotation of the forearm, it's only this. The arm does not change anything, it's only the forearm that changes. And when we talk about Parsvotanasana, there is two ways of doing it. We can be in a balance, bring the back foot towards the back, put the toes on the floor and then roll over the toes to bring the heel on the floor. And what we are going to try to do is bend forward, staying in both heels only, and bringing the hands in Namastasana. So this is going to help us work at the same time the internal rotation of the arm in the shoulder blade, in the joint. And this is just the beginning of a Parsvotanasana. We can try to push ourselves. Once we are there, we can try to push ourselves towards the back knee in order to bring the front knee towards the back knee. And we flex the back knee. And in the same time, we try to create balance in the pelvis. Have the pelvis facing front and horizontal. Stay on the heels of both legs. And with time, this is going to be possible to be in a flexion as much as this. And with time, what we do is try to bring both knees in the same level. This may require you to lift the back heel, but it's more interesting to keep both heels on the floor and try to bring the back knee and the front knee in the same level. Try to bring your belly on your front thigh. And if you want, you can as well put your hands on the floor. In this posture, it's important not to block your front knee, but keep it flexible. If you can bring your belly over your thigh, then you can let yourself rest over your leg. But if it's not like this, if your belly is not over your thigh, then you should stay. You should stay deconnected from your thigh and from your leg, even if it is in this posture. The Parsvotanasana that is somehow evolved, where people normally we see often people that bring the chin towards the knee. So this is another step. For the moment, it's more interesting to stay in this action of bringing both heels together, even if it is just there. It is the same work. If we are here, if we are here, if you are here, or if you are here as well. And then you can stand up. And we are going to do the other side. So Parsvotanasana can start like this. Iyengar, he teaches it differently in his book Light on Yoga, sorry. But for the moment we are going to do this version. Another time we are going to do both. So to go to the other side, you come in a balance over the foot that is going to stay in front. You put the other foot towards the floor, fingers, toes on the floor, and then you roll over the fingers. And you stay on your heels. Don't bring too much distance between two heels, because it's going to be difficult for you to stay in a balance. It's important to stay on the mat, so I'm going to try to stay on the mat and do it only facing front, so you can see what's happening also in the other direction. So if I stay on the mat, I put the heel on the mat, it's more important than the front of the foot. And then I'm going to put the fingers behind me, the toes on the floor, and then I'm going to just let my heel as well go towards the floor. I'm going to bring my hands in Namastasana in the back of the body. And I'm just going to try to bring myself towards my back heel as much as possible. And I am going to try to create a flexion in my front hip by pushing my mat towards the front with my front leg. So the leg is active and the flexion is done correctly in the hip. And I try to bring myself in a flexion towards the front, as we did in Uttanasana, in half Uttanasana. It's the same thing. We try to be stable in the basis of the back. And here we are going to try to bring the front knee towards the back knee. So my front leg is pushing me towards the back, is pushing my pelvis towards the back. This is going to be slow. It's in the same level. It's only my back knee that is flexing, and I am in the same level. It brings my hip towards the back. And what I'm trying to do is to keep my pelvis in the same level and not falling both sides in the same axis. So you can help yourself with your hands, and you can help yourselves with 2 bricks if you want to. So you can stop there if you want to. Same thing as we were doing it with the chair. Bricks are here to help you, chair is there to help you. Try not to fall in the interior of your feet in both sides. Stay on your heels. And it's the same thing. We try to bring the front knee towards the back knee. I don't know if you see much in this direction, but it's only the question of showing you that it's important to keep weight in both sides. So my axis stays in the axis between the 2 heels. And if I go towards the back, I try to keep my axis in the same plane and not over one or over the other side. And you can be in Namastasana if you want. If your thigh is if your belly is reposed on your thigh, you can let yourself fall over your thigh. It's not a problem at all. But if it's not the case, if there is space between my belly and my thigh, it means I have to stop higher. But for the moment, I am just going to stay there. And if possible, I am going to push myself from my back heel towards my front heel, or even push my back heel towards the floor to unbend my back knee. And this is going to bring me towards my front leg. Try to be careful to stay balanced in the pelvis. In this posture, it is not easy to see if you are balanced in your pelvis or if you are in one side or the other. And then you can come up. And coming up, it's the same thing. Extension in the hips. Same way as we did with the chair. Only extension in the axis of your hip. So Parsvotanasana is very interesting to create length in the back of your leg. But you have to be careful in lumbar flexion. You shouldn't go in lumbar flexion while you do this. Iyengar, I'm just going to just show this. He comes in the posture in this way, external rotation in one leg, and then he brings in the fingers in the back side, and then a rotation of the pelvis, and then he comes in a flexion directly towards the front leg. For me, it's a little bit difficult to do it when we start doing yoga. Later it's possible. But in the beginning, we need really length in the back of the leg to be able to put the weight of the belly on the front leg. And if we have this length of the back leg, we can eventually rest on the front leg, but it is not really easy in the beginning. So this is why I showed you the other version. Well, we are just going to do it another session this way. And we are going towards Prasarita padotanasana, or maybe half of Prasarita padotanasana, which is a flexion. Prasarita padotanasana is a flexion towards the front, where the legs are in a distance between each other. So this can be a little more, and this can be even more than that, but it's a preparation for many other postures because it helps you develop this capacity of flexion when we have legs apart. So you can put your weight already on your heels. External edges of your feet are parallel to each other and parallel to the axis of the body. You can already push the big toes towards the floor and activate the inner side of your thighs. Activating the inner side of your thighs means giving the information of the foot to the calf muscles and the thigh muscles, so the knee is put correctly in a rotation between the femoral bone and the tibia. So it's the thigh bone and the calf bone, the shin bone. And then you are going just to let your pelvis come towards the back. So this is something really basic, something we use in everyday life. And it's only the question of letting the pelvis come towards the back. Here I'm going to sleep. But it's only this question of letting the pelvis come towards the back. Only the pelvis is doing the work here. Pay attention to your knees. Your knees are active, they are not blocked. Stay on your heels, push the big toes on the floor, feel the activity in the inner side and in the outer side of your legs. And you can stop wherever you want. The only importance here is the good posture of your legs. The good posture of your legs that will bring the good posture of your pelvis. So you can stay, I continue, I only explain, stay in the posture, I stay on the heels, and gradually I can use my shin bones to hold myself on. I can use bricks, and you can help yourselves with the bricks. Stay on your heels, push the big toes on the floor, create action in the inner side of your legs, create stability in the back, feel your respiration, how is it going, create a connection between the tailbone and the crown of your head. Try to put as much as possible your weight on your heels and not on your hands. This is an asana that is supposed to work, to make your legs work and not your arms. If you have weight on your hands, put the weight there. If I do it, you will see one zone here that is clearer than the rest. This is mostly where I put my weight on my hands, and I try to push my elbows towards the floor to create space in the neck. Stay on your heels. You can stop here, or if you see that you can go further, you roll the blocks, you put again your hands on the blocks, and you stop there. Try to feel the connection between your heels and the sit bones. Feel the stability in the back of your legs. Feel the stability as well in the back, in the lower part of your back. So here normally there is two muscles and a space between the two. This should be present, so you don't create a bump here, but keep both muscles present and the space really low, just after your pelvic bone. And you stay there. Try to give time to your legs to stretch. So this is maybe even a lot less as a flexion. You can maybe stop here with your chair or come down. It is the same work. Put all the weight on your heels, create space between your tailbone and the crown of your head. Feel what's happening with your breath. You can try to create deep exhale. A deep exhalation can help you work with your transverse abdominal in the same time. So if you are there, you can just try to create sounds. For example, la, 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 or maybe just one la. There is also element mantras. For example, lam, vam, ram, jam, ham. That can help you as well work with your transverse abdominal. Stay in the posture. Keep your action in your legs, and then you can just try to exhale by doing one sound, la. And this sound is just going to help you exhale slowly. By elongating the sound, you elongate your exhale. And you work your transverse abdominal. And you can repeat this as much as you want. If you can go lower, you can bring maybe your hands on the floor and continue with your exhale. La. For inhaling, don't do anything other than just releasing your belly, and air is going to come in. You are not going to take in air. You don't need to take anything. Everything can come to you. La. La. Stay present in the sensations of your body and keep repeating the lam. If you can come lower, you can bend your elbows. Just keep all your weight in your heels. Don't forget. And you can keep exhaling with your lam. Once you feel it is enough, you can stay more if you want. You can just come up using your bricks, returning your bricks, and using only the muscles of your legs. And you can come in the center to feel what has this work generated in your body. You stay there. Compare both sides, left and right. If the work is done symmetrically, both sides. So this is one way of flexion. If you have facility or difficulty, it depends. If you have facility, you can do it being seated on a chair. If you have difficulty, you can just sit on the chair and do the same thing with bricks. This is not a small flexion anyway. It is like you are doing this. It's not small as a flexion, but maybe it is easier because one part of your weight is on the chair, and you can maybe also stop there using the bricks. It's maybe easier for your legs but it's not easier as a flexion. It's because your legs don't have to carry so much that it is easier. So this is an option. And as well, if you have many difficulties with flexion, you can just stop really high using your chair. So this is an option as well, but it's the same work. Anyway, if you can go further, it's not bad to try to go further. This option, however, the chair, it is interesting because we can use it to stay much longer. So if I put my chair on the wall and I am seated in the side of the chair and I want to come towards my legs, I can as well use many bricks and just hold myself on the bricks without doing much work. I can stay longer being here, or maybe just using 2 bricks. It is easier to stay there because you don't have much work to do with the legs, but it's more interesting to do the other version, where we are not seated on the chair. So it's an option if you really have difficulties with the hip flexors. Then even starting here is interesting, and trying to bring your body towards the front. It's just this action of bringing the knees towards the ceiling, and you feel already that the hip flexors are trying to work. So the hip flexion is something really important. We use it all the time. I use it every day. This is why I spoke of it in Uttanasana. In Parsvotanasana is the same thing as well. So you can lie down in Savasana. Well, I'm going to do Savasana with you. So lie down in Savasana and maybe attach your feet. With a rope, and you let your feet on the mat. Create a little bit of an internal rotation in the thighs by bringing the muscles towards the exterior, the lower muscles towards the exterior, and the upper muscles towards the axis of your body. You bring yourselves towards the back, on the elbows and on the mat. Keep space in the lower back behind the 5th lumbar vertebra, just after the pelvis. And just create some space as well in the shoulders and the neck by grabbing the mat both sides, trying to create tension in the mat, trying to create more length in the mat, and you just release everything. You release your feet, you release your hands, you release your head. If you need a block behind your neck, you can just put a block behind your head so your chin is not pointing up. And feel what's happening in your body once more. Try to compare the right and the left side. Try to compare all the really small sensations that are present in the body and try to follow them. Find where the source is. like you find water somewhere and you try to find where the source of water is. It's the same work. You try to find where is it coming from. And if you find the source, you find the solution of the tensions. Stay present in your sensations in both sides of your heels, both sides of your calf muscles, both sides of your knees, in inner side, outer side of the knee. And you can come higher towards your thighs. Both sides of your pelvis is it symmetrical on the floor, or is one side higher than the other? Both shoulders, both sides of your head, both arms, the upper arms, the forearms, the hands, the palms of the hands, the fingers, and try just to feel what happened with this practice. You can stay there as much as you want. I will stop the video here. I will see you soon next Sunday. So don't forget to hit the little bell for notifications of your videos, and of course subscribe. So have fun, do yoga, great, and see you soon.